Welcome back to the Malt Miller YouTube channel, and I'm delighted to say we've just tipped over 15,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, which is great news.
It is, Rob. I'm absolutely delighted with it, and thank you so much for everybody at home that tunes in on a Sunday morning to see what we've been up to, followed us along this journey, and actually we want to do something a little bit fun, a little bit interesting to say thank you and also offer everybody an opportunity to win something, right? Because everybody likes winning stuff. So in this video, we're going to be converting this tiny little fridge into the world's smallest kegerator. So what we're going to be doing today is taking this tiny fridge, which is one of the smallest we could find, and we're going to convert it into the world's smallest kegerator. Now, we've done a few kegerator builds on the channel over the years and people love them, but we've had some new bits of equipment, haven't we, Rob?
Yeah, and it means that just packaging beer into smaller amounts that'll actually fit inside a unit as small as this is possible. However, the methods that we're going to use by showing this conversion, it doesn't matter what size fridge you're using. You can use a full-size larder fridge, you could even use a chest freezer. It really makes no difference. We're basically fitting taps one way or another into a refrigerated unit so that we can keep the beer cold.
Exactly, and like we've alluded to, and we'll come on to the parts and bits and pieces we're going to be using soon, but some of the new things we've got into us recently here at the Malt Miller mean that we've got lots of scalability. So if you're a home brewer that maybe likes to brew full-size batches, but you go away, or maybe you have like a camper van, or you've got like an outbuilding that's like a cool little setup with a little fridge in it, you could make a tiny little kegerator using the methods we're going to be showing you in this. Equally, it's just a fun thing to do. And if you stick around to the end of the video, we're going to be converting this and also giving everybody at home that's watching this the opportunity to win our very own world's smallest kegerator. So stick around, we're going to jump straight into this build, show you the bits of equipment we're going to be using, what we're aiming for, and see how we get on.
James, let's have a look at the actual fridge itself. Now, this was an Amazon purchase.
It was, yeah.
There's loads of these available, various different size, dimensions, and as we've already said, it doesn't really matter what size of refrigeration unit you're converting, it's going to be a similar process. However, we've chosen this one because we wanted it to be suitable for the 4-litre Oxebar Kegs.
Yeah, and we did actually, because we've got another small fridge here that we use for customer collections, which is a similar sort of size and dimension, and actually we couldn't fit two of these into that because it's got the compressor hump at the back.
Yep.
And it's also got an ice box in it. Yep. So we wanted to look for one that specifically didn't have those two things. This unit, if we open it up, have a little look inside, you can see that the chiller unit is built into the back, yeah, like it's flat, right?
So basically the space inside is completely square.
Yeah.
Importantly, you might be thinking about, well, you can only fit two 4-litre Oxebar kegs in there, so you're going to be serving 16 pints from there. But to be honest, those Oxebar kegs, they're as cheap as chips. So you could be brewing a full-size batch, yeah, and just pressure transferring it out of your Chubby or Firmzilla or whatever pressure fermenter you have straight into multiple Oxebar kegs, yep, and you could have them stacked up, ready, waiting to be put into this unit.
Exactly. So let's talk about the Oxebar kegs. Now, we've got these in a couple of different size options. We've got the 4s and the 8s in this configuration, and then we've got the big 20-litre ones as well, which we've recently talked about. Now, these are awesome because they're so easy to set up and really versatile, and as you said, cheap as chips.
Yeah, at a price point, it just makes them so accessible. And obviously, even if you're kegging your beer into a 20-litre version or a 19-litre standard Corny style keg, you can tap off that keg straight into there. Yep. Oxygen free, it's just so easy.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got the tapping head units on them with the beer and gas disconnects, the carbonation caps. We've got the PRVs on them, and we're going to be using some different fittings as well to kind of get this all hooked up, which we'll go into in a minute. But the taps we've chosen, because we're going for the smallest kegerator in the world, we are using NukaTap Minis.
Actually, this has become my weapon of choice for dispensing at home.
Yeah, you love it.
I love it, yeah, because because they sit on the flow control disconnects. I don't have a kegerator at home. I just open my fridge door and serve just through circumstances at the moment. It's just the easiest way for me to do it. However, these mounted onto the outside of this unit, that's going to be absolutely awesome.
They're going to look so smart as well because they've got that awesome matte black finish, which is going to complement the black fridge unit we've chosen as well.
Not just that, James. Actually, I've found in use, although these are of tiny stature, they pour fantastically.
Yeah.
I've been absolutely delighted with them. It just makes pouring a beer really, really easy, which I was really surprised at, actually.
Yeah, and we do a couple of different adapters for getting these hooked up to your kegs of choice. We do the push fit adapter that's got the little brace that fits directly into the disconnect, which is what you're using at home.
Yeah.
And then we do the kind of shank adapter kit, which doesn't have a shank as such, but that's what we're going to be using on this. So we'll go into that in more detail. Do you know the other thing I love about these? You unscrew the nozzle, and it is an MFL threaded host.
I know. You thought about so much in the design of these, so you could actually put a Durotight or John Guest fitting on there, and then you're straight out to beer line.
Yeah. So if you want to counter pressure fill or just fill up a couple of bottles really easily, such a cool little solution. Like you said, they've really thought about the design on these. Now they don't have flow control built in. Okay, that would have made them not particularly mini.
Yeah.
But we've got a solution for that. So what we're going to do now, before we start drilling any holes into this fridge, is talk about some of the adapters and our plan for getting it all hooked up. Let's dive in then to all of the bits and pieces we're planning on using to build this awesome tiny kegerator. Again, this can be used or adapted to suit whatever kegerator build you're going to be doing, but for this purpose, we're going with some smart little innovations, aren't we, Rob? Do you want to talk about gas for us first? How are we going to dispense gas into the kegs?
Okay, because we've got a small unit, we're going to go with a small gas bottle. So the Sodastream is the absolute obvious. So we've got our universal regulator that's set up to take a Sodastream bottle, runs on 3/8 gas line coming directly out of the regulator.
Yeah.
We're going to split that into two 3/16 lines, but we're going to do that inside the kegerator.
That means actually the splitter kind of acts as a bit of a stopper as well to stop the line being pulled in and out too much.
It does, and it also means the narrow gauge line inside the kegerator is more flexible and just way easier to use.
Yeah, so we're going to use some reducers to take us down from 3/8 to 3/16.
Indeed.
And then we're going to go from that to some Durotight grey gas disconnects. These are the 3/8 versions, and we're using those because we're going to use reducers straight into there, so our 3/16 line can go straight into these disconnects.
We're basically stepping down and then stepping back up again directly at the disconnect.
Yeah. Right, in terms of dispense then, so we've already talked about the NukaTap Minis that we're going to be using for that nice smart solution, but we've also said they don't have flow control, so we're going to be using your favourite disconnect.
Oh, it's fantastic. The flow control disconnects, they work perfectly. They run on 5/16 or 8mm beer line.
Yeah.
And so does the NukaTap Mini. So that's straight and really easy. We're just using 5/16 line to run from the disconnect to the back of the NukaTap Mini.
Yeah, now the NukaTap Mini doesn't have a shank, right?
That's really clever the way that this has been set up.
Yeah, so they do a wall mount. Kegland have designed a wall mount for it, which means that you can fit the NukaTap Mini onto a number of different hard surfaces. So that could be on a fridge door, it could be on the collar for a keezer, it could be on a jockey box, loads and loads of different ways you can fit this. So we're going to be using two of those wall mount adapters to fit to the front of the fridge. No shank, so the line just goes straight into the back of the tap.
Exactly, the line acts as a shank. Brilliant.
Yep. Now, just off camera a minute ago, Rob was actually saying that the MFL thread on the NukaTap Minis means that if you wanted to, you can
actually backfill the kegs inside the kegerator without taking them out.
Yeah.
So you could actually fill it from a pressure fermenter, from a keg, whatever. You just fill the kegs directly back up through the NukaTap Minis. Freaking brilliant.
Now this setup, ideally, right, this setup is going to be aimed at people that, really have a small space, whether that's a camper van or or increasingly we're seeing people want to be able to homebrew but don't necessarily have tons and tons of space for a big rig, you know, like a 23 litre system or a 40 litre system. So there's a lot of interest on like stovetop brewing, small batch brewing, that kind of thing. This setup would work awesomely in an apartment, right?
Absolutely.
So you could do stovetop brewing. Once you've done fermenting, straight into your ox bars, get them carbonated, and you've got a kegerator even in an apartment or a studio flat.
It's just such a flexible system. It's fantastic. Can't wait to do this.
Right, should we get into the build?
Let's do it.
Now, Rob, we've marked up our fridge ready to drill the holes in it, right?
Yeah, as you can see, I've got my glasses on.
Yeah, you mean business,
Yeah,
right?
I do, yeah.
Now, it's a really important part of any build like this that you do your measurements and you consider where you're putting holes in things. First and foremost, you don't want wonky taps.
No.
You want them nice and straight.
Yeah.
And secondly, you don't want to pierce anything unnecessarily on your fridge, like any of the cooling circuits.
No, we are 99% confident that actually the only cooling on this and most modern fridges actually is just at the back, nothing in the sides. We are going through the side, lower down on this fridge, for the gas line to enter the fridge. Some of these fridges, and in fact some of all fridges, have some sort of drip hole in the back. Sometimes they're big enough to be able to sneak a little bit of gas line into that. This model isn't.
No. Well, the hole's big enough, but actually what we've discovered is that
it's not straight, is it?
No, the drip hole kind of does that.
Yeah. So you can't push line up it.
No. So we're going to be drilling a hole through the side. Now, with all measurements and drilling, you need to kind of take into account all of the thicknesses of the walls and that kind of stuff. So if we start with what we did on the point where we're going to drill the hole for the gas line to come in, we measured the depth internally.
Yeah,
all the way to the back.
Because obviously the inside of the fridge is smaller than the outside of the fridge because of the insulation. So yeah, that really needs to take into account.
Yeah, so we measured all the way to the back and we measured the thickness of the walls and then we transposed that to a point on the outside of the fridge, which is just about here, where we're going to be able to go in. We're going to miss the kind of panel at the back where all of the cooling system is on this fridge, and then be able to enter our gas line straight through.
We've also had to take into account the size of the kegs that are going in here and where they're going to sit in there, so it doesn't hit the back of them or anything. So yeah, that was a little bit of fiddling about to get that in the right place.
Yeah, and then on the front, Rob, you measured the width of the door, and you also measured internally where the distance is from the top of the door down to this panel here, right?
Yeah, because we obviously wanted to miss that little chunky bit there for the shelves to fit in as well. So yeah, that's all to be taken into account.
Yeah, and then we added a little bit of brown tape across the front.
Yeah, it stops the drill skidding when you approach the drill to the actual flat surface.
And also gives you a handy surface to draw on, so you can mark out all the holes for your mounting plates.
I like the way that you say that I've measured everything, so that when it doesn't slightly line up, it is my fault.
Is it time to drill some holes?
Yes, it is. The last bit of advice, which is like the thing that every older person says, which is measure 20 times and cut once.
Yes.
Yeah. We've drilled the holes. We've added our shanks.
Yeah, well, wall plate adapters, I think is the term that Kegland use.
Indeed. And doesn't it look amazing? I love these stainless steel bevels that go over, just finish it off.
And they're really nice. They just push straight on as well. It's a really nice little touch. We learnt a couple of things, as is always the case when you're building stuff like this. First and foremost, you need to make sure that you, as much as possible, go through straight with your drill. We might have had one or two that were a little bit awry, but what we also learned is that actually it's not a major issue with this wall plate adapter kit, because we just widened the hole on the back so that we could line up the little coach screws, the sort of cabinet screws that they're supplied with. And actually it's the two braces and those screws that give it the rigidity it needs.
Yeah, the actual clearance holes from the screws can be way bigger, because it's like James says, it's the actual plastic parts that are the brace.
Yeah, because they're being pulled together.
Yeah, so the clearance holes can actually be drilled way bigger than they need to. It cuts out a load of fiddling about.
Yeah. Now this is, again, we weren't actually expecting this, but the front of this fridge is metal as well. So when we were going through, we needed to just get a file and file off a couple of the edges afterwards.
Deburr, James.
Deburr, yeah. But you know, your fridge might have a plastic front, that might not be an issue. Yeah. Now going in through the side, we've done that as well. that's actually in the perfect spot on the inside. And Rob, you've added a lovely little touch of a rubber grommet, like you find on a fermenter.
Exactly that. If you drill a 12mm hole, it's suitable for the grommet, and also suitable for the 3/8 beer line that we're using, and it gets a really, really tight fit in there, which is exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah, because we don't want to be losing a huge amount of cooling efficiency out of our fridge.
At all.
Nice. Next then, we are on to getting the innards into this mini kegerator. So we're going to crack on with that, and we'll see you in a moment.
Well, our tiny little kegerator is complete, and it looks absolutely amazing. I'm chuffed to bits.
I really am as well. It really does look fantastic, and we're not just saying this for, you know, the sake of the video. We've put some really nice little touches into this as well, little design things that we've kind of adapted along the way. Firstly, before I talk about anything internal or the taps, because we're using a Sodastream bottle, you came up with the bright idea, Rob, of putting an elbow on here, measuring the right amount of line so that we could then have another elbow, so that actually the Sodastream bottle isn't getting sort of toppled over because of the tension in the line.
Exactly, and actually that could be placed more or less anywhere around the unit, depending on your specific setup.
Yeah, but that for this setup I think looks really, really cool, and yeah, I'm pleased to bits with it. The other cool thing has to be the taps. Those little NukaTap Minis look so smart.
Honestly, they suit this little unit absolutely brilliantly, but I can see where they could be really useful on what is actually a bar setup or a bigger fridge, because they're just, the small profile of them can be really handy.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason you can't use them on a full-size kegerator,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
They work just the same as any other non-flow control tap, but we've obviously added the flow control disconnect, so we do still have the ability to dial in our flow rate depending on the beer style that we're serving. Really, really smart. Now, I think, Rob, we've put together all the kegs. You very handily fitted the tap-in head unit together, fit it all up, put it all together. So we're done, aren't we?
Well, we are until you pour me a beer out of it, James.
I've got you a nice tiny little pint-sized glass to go with our
pint size.
No, it's not. Our little taster glass. It's a third of a pint. This is like the third of a size of a kegerator.
Indeed, yeah.
So let's pour you a beer. As if by magic, here's one I made earlier.
So that's actually Jiddler's Tipples.
Yeah, it is. It's Nimbus. Yeah, from our video that we did a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And nice port, nice head,
Yeah.
poured nice and quickly as well. No like tiny little trickle.
Cheers to that, right?
I'm delighted with this. It's so cool.
Now, as we said at the beginning of the video, if you want to be in with a chance of winning this, because we are going to be giving it away, it's dead simple. All you need to do is make sure, if you're watching this video, you subscribe to our channel, you comment down below, and you like the video, all right? We want to hear everything you've got to say about our pint-sized powerhouse of a kegerator. Anything you've noticed that you loved, anything you do differently, or just anything at all, right? Let us know in the comments down below. Now, this video will be going live on Sunday the 10th of November. We're going to announce the winner on Friday the 22nd of November, and we'll be doing that over on our other social channels, so Facebook and Instagram. So make sure that you head over there, you subscribe to those platforms, and also give us a little bit of a like and that kind of stuff over there as well. Always appreciated. We can't wait to see who's won this, to celebrate us passing 15,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel.
It's been an absolute blast making this mini kegerator. It's fantastic, these videos where we can actually demonstrate just what can be done with the equipment that's available now. Thanks again for subscribing to the channel. We'll see you again soon.